Duane, we've always talked about the deep dark border. When one listens to you speak, it seems like crossing the deep dark border is a walk in the park. But I guess it certainly is not. Crossing the deep dark border into the light of the real universes could be something uh, maybe in my own understanding fills one with dread, brings about some kind of sorrow, some certainty. Uh, One is perhaps like in a dark area of life. I don't know what to expect. How does one successfully navigate the deep dark border? And what are the road signs? What is to be expected generally, given that everyone is on their own custom tailored journey?
Well, that's a lot. So just imagine yourself in a prison like Alcatraz on an island to where there's, yeah, you can get outside the building maybe, but after that, you got to swim across to the mainland in freezing shark-infested water. Okay, so that's your test for the day. So that's what it's like. So first of all, to even get to the deep dark border, you have to face yourself in these realms here. You have to prepare yourself. Yeah, so the old spiritual ideas are really cute, but really what has really taken place with the old spiritual things, yeah, you can astral project, you can go into the astral worlds, and many of these paths think that the astral body is the soul body. Okay, that's your soul. Okay, astral projecting, it's like, well, that's what you do, because they're not aware of anything else. So you go there, you have experiences, it's like, wow, this is great, happy land. Well, eventually you start getting holes and tap lines in your aura because of that, and then the entities move in, and then all of a sudden, the good times are over. Now you're infected, and here come the entities, and they're attacking you left and right. Very real. I've known people like this. And so when it comes to the deep dark border, this is the encasement in creation. You know, it's interesting. Paul, he subtly mentioned the borderline. He just put a borderline there. I defined it when I redid all the levels in creation into the real universes and life, and the real guides backed me. So in Paul's day, it was the fifth, or the soul plane was the fifth level, okay? But I defined it because it had to be so, and the deep dark border became the sixth level, so it only made sense that the real universes started at seventh level, and this is defined now. And everything else that was supposedly with the soul plane or whatever is in the unconscious, subconscious area. That's the etheric level, which is the fifth. So everything is more defined than it was. So just like when we were in elementary school, we got basic ideas of things. We just got the basics. But as we went along, and especially out of high school, and into college, things became more defined. You see, those same basic things became more and more and more defined. Yes, maybe in fifth and sixth grade and even up to high school, we took chemistry, whatever, and we made some pretty good malt and milkshakes, okay? But now when you get into the college level, now you're dealing with all kinds of ingredients and elements, etc., that surpass that. But you got the basic idea there. So the deep dark border is a particular, and that is that because of the five bodies, the five senses, the emotional, the sensation body, the memory, the mind, and the intuitive and subconscious, and through intuition, you gain insight, okay? You should gain the insight to start to recognize your real awareness. So this is where many people will stop. And the deep dark border is also known as the void, which is, or nirvana, or whatever you want to call it. This is where the individual is able to completely blank their mind, thinking that this is the ultimate. And it is, if you're going according to levels, beyond the mental and etheric. It's just where you blank everything. Well, that's not an aliveness. You've just blanked everything is what you've done. So, but many people think, well, the void is the ultimate. Once you've surpassed all the levels and gotten into the void, well, you're above all of life. No, you're just simply above creation. That's all. You're not into life yet, because that's the seventh level. And this is where you cannot consider life at all. This is where you must recognize it. It's not something you can just conjure up and think, oh, it's this or that, like you do with your mental body here and the things that we have here. No, this is where the real recognition comes in. And this is why we'll use the corporation, Joni's corporation again, or Takeover Corporation as an example. All those people that have been there, a lot of them for a long time, 20, 30, 40 years. And we just had one here, Miss Sandy, who's been there 50 years, basically, okay? And when we look at them in comparison, you see, and they're supposed to have the great spiritual awareness of things. Well, they can't even recognize that Joni's reptilian is totally tap-lined them and Harry's the puppet, but yet they're so emotionally attached to the Eckankar teaching ideas that they don't see that. You see, so where really is their awareness? Basically, it's an astral level because they're all tap-lined. But they think they're up there somewhere floating around the God worlds or whatever it is. And yes, they will have experiences there, but the difference is they don't recognize where they're at. So they've held themselves to this position here because this comes first. You see, many of these people in these spiritual paths and religions, whatever, oh yeah, they like their religion, they love their gods, their saints, whatever. But you know what? Their personal life comes first. See, again, this is where you decide. My personal life doesn't come first. Isness, all of life. I'm just a dot. That's me. I'm a dot. I'm just doing my part. Life comes first. The isness is first. I don't put anything in front of that because, again, it all is. And every moment, I have the great adventure of continually recognizing and perceiving. And the word I created, perceiving, with the 3 E's, is not the regular perceiving or whatever. No, it is learning to read what the isness is. Okay, that's what real perceiving is. And very few of who can do that. And so every moment, whatever is presented to me from this reality, then I take it in some way and move it around in some way to some project or group or whatever it is, or just talking here. And I don't know what's going to come up next, but I perceive what is coming up, seeing, perceiving, being what is coming in. And this is the best part because it supersedes the personal self. So the deep dark border itself is that part where the individual decides to proceed but must recognize it, and most people don't, so they just consider like, well, there's nothing beyond the deep dark border. I've reached nirvana, I've reached the void, this is it, and I've reached the ultimate. Just as soon as they've considered that, it's a done deal. You see, they've self-convinced themselves, and just like the lady that you met, the officialness that she gave you that you're an agent of the devil, etc. She's made that official statement. And that's her consideration of you. See all these considerations we create? And we're so self-convinced by them. This is the hardest thing for people to get through. And that entails the deep dark border too, is their mind and everything else. In other words, most people cannot see objectively, cannot be objective about their personal senses and their minds. So they're still trapped by being self-convinced of all these cute little ideas they carry. And again, everything's available. What's so cool about recognizing from your real awareness what's going on is that all of creation is now workable, and you don't have to be the effect of it anymore. That's odd. It's not that you're just going to vanish everything. No. Hey, I'm fine with everything. I'm not here to change anything. I don't have to change anything. You see? Again, it's like when Val and Kelsey and I dealt with the college. We didn't change anything. We were trying to show these people, how to wake up a little bit and, how it could be more beneficial to them. But they resisted. You see, we weren't out to change the college. We didn't do any of that. That was not the idea. We're not here to manipulate the situation at all. We don't do that. We're not here to rebel, etc. There's a better picture. But again, you need agreement. And so for the most part, they buried themselves in resistance, etc. So that was their choice. We do not make that choice. All we can do is present it creatively. So just like your experience, Charles, with the lady, she's already stamped you as agent of the devil. Okay, so that's your experience, and many others. Val has that too. He has someone that thinks he's pure evil. Again, by their definition, and so they carry that self-conviction. You see how we become self-convinced by things? Is it really that? No, we're all the sun shining. We are all the sun shining, and even better than that, we are an awesome, true aliveness that this personal self cannot even imagine, but you must decide to be it and see it. Yeah, only you can do that. So the deep dark border, that is a challenge for everybody to understand, and creation itself. But again, like crossing the river, it'll be okay once you're on the other side and you look back and see what you've come through. Learn to be more objective, learn to have more fun. Again, it's all about having fun while we're going through our journey, and learning to be creative and stepping up, having the courage to step up and face yourself and the world as it is now, because there's people out there, they're looking for this and they're desperate. And by you stepping up, you're earning your way, and you're showing them how to wake up. And, just like your children, they wake up and they stare right into your eyes. They recognize you and you recognize them. This is how life is. It's all about recognition and a real position, and not being obstructed or restricted by anything. It's so cool. So, yes, until then, the challenge is to even get to that point. And the deep dark border, etc. So learn the various levels in creation and what's going on, and then from there you will gradually learn to better recognize your real awareness, because it's all necessary to do so, Charles.
They say the past and the future are rooted in the isness, the present, and I want to think we can consider the individual and awareness, the real awareness, the real you, can be said to be the endless isness. However, can it not be said that in the time and space worlds, that the real you needs the advance of the past for learning? In this case, I seem to see the ancient wisdom being used in the being useful in the present. So what do you say about this?
Yes, thank you for making the question short, because it gets confusing. But no, everything is workable and everything is necessary like it's here. So again, we have the reference to it. We don't eliminate it, or I'm not saying that, oh, no, we don't do that anymore, or that's bad. Here's the idea. Again, yes, everything that we've experienced and that is here, known and unknown history, whatever, use that as references. Just like anything that we have here, as you're driving down the street, you have stop signs and signals and painted markings on the street, etc. Those are your references. And so as long as we're on the earth, we use these things, and in creation, etc. And all these things are fine. It's just that when people make them their reality, their prime reality, this is where they deceive themselves, because these are ideas and they're not the aliveness life is that makes the difference. So when people look to, like the corporation members, I've had discussions with them, and what mainly they look to is the teachings. Okay, again, these are ideas. They're words on paper, and they're cute, but again, like belief, it's not going to carry you anywhere. That's like the manual. Okay, when you buy a new car, you get an instruction manual how to, unlock the doors, how to put the key in and turn it and start the car and put it in drive. Okay, but that manual, is not going to do that for you. You got to do that. And so the teachings and the wisdom and all these things that have come and gone, and tradition and all this, fine. But it doesn't do anything for you. It's just the instruction manual to something. Now, are these things referring to the isness? And if they are, fine. But again, they're words. You see, they're just words. And so what I'm presenting, the isness and the boys are backing this. These words have an aliveness all their own, the ones that I'm doing. And even Paul's books and stuff, yeah, there are certain things there, but the boys aren't focused on that. They're not focused on that. Life is not focusing on that. So it all looks good. And to go over this again, past, present, and future, like Eckhart Tolle talks about, okay, that is in creation. This is the new nowness. We're in, you might say, those that do step up to this, we are in our own dimension on the earth. And this is where most of the earth cannot see us because we are in our own position. And they are in their own time, space, cause and effect position. So those that are in past, present, and future, what he's talking about really, and he's talking about the spiritual stuff and the God stuff, again, that's in creation. When you really 100% stand real with the is, there is no time. There is no space. It's an isness, and you're not the effect. There is no karma. There's no nothing. It's all here and now. You don't have to go anywhere. All right, you don't have to project from your body. All right. Again, look at the experiences that are shared. They're fine. But they're still not the recognition of the reality, the true reality life is. It's all here and now. You see, so you can stand the real nowness life is the isness, not the idea of just be now, be present. Okay, those are ideas. There's a difference. There really is. And besides, he's not referring to the isness. He's referring to ideas that he has come to know. He's just passing around ideas like a deck of cards. That's all you're doing. You get, you're sitting at the table and you get handed your deck. And like the old saying, well, I got to deal with the cards I've been dealt with. No, you don't. But if you decide that, okay, you do, well, then you do, you see. But you always have the choice. So there's the difference. We're in the new nowness. It's its own unique position, but you have to recognize it. And most people don't. So they will stay in the old now and present and basically projecting themselves into future lifetimes, even though they're not conscious of it.